The Udana, Section 8.6, Patali Village. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Lord, while walking on tour among the people of Magadha, together with a large order of bhikkhus, arrived at the village of Patali and stayed there. The lay followers of Patali village heard, it is said that the Lord, while walking on tour among the people of Magadha, together with a large order of bhikkhus, has arrived at Patali village. Then the lay followers of Patali village approached the Lord, prostrated themselves, sat down to one side, and said to the Lord, "Revered Sir, let the Lord consent to lodge in our rest house." The Lord consented by remaining silent. Then, on seeing that the Lord had consented, the lay followers of Patali village rose from their seats, prostrated themselves before the Lord, and keeping their right sides towards him, went to the rest house. On arriving, they spread coverings over the whole floor of the rest house, prepared seats, placed a water jar there, and set up an oil lamp. Then they went to the Lord, prostrated themselves, and standing there they said to the Lord, "The whole floor of the rest house has been spread with coverings, seats are prepared, a water jar has been placed there, and an oil lamp set up. Let the Lord do now what he thinks it time to do." Then the Lord, robing himself in the forenoon, and taking his bowl and outer cloak, went to the rest house, together with the order of bhikkhus. On arriving, he washed his feet, entered the rest house, and sat down by the middle pillar facing east. The order of bhikkhus sat down near the western wall facing east, with the Lord before them. And the lay followers of Patali village, having washed their feet, entered the rest house and sat down near the eastern wall facing west, with the Lord in front of them. Then the Lord addressed the lay followers of Patali village. There are, householders, these 5 disadvantages for the immoral person through his failing in virtue. What are the 5? Hear, householders, the immoral, unvirtuous person, through negligence, suffers great loss of wealth. This is the first disadvantage for the immoral person through his failing in virtue. Furthermore, householders, an evil repute is spread about concerning an immoral, unvirtuous person. This is the second disadvantage. Again, householders, whatever assembly an immoral, unvirtuous person approaches, whether an assembly of nobles, of Brahmins, of householders, or of recluses, he approaches lacking confidence and assurance. This is the third disadvantage. Again, householders, an immoral, unvirtuous person dies confused. This is the fourth disadvantage. Finally, householders, upon the breakup of the body, after death, an immoral, unvirtuous person re-arises in a realm of misery, an unhappy state, the place of downfall, hell. This is the fifth disadvantage. These, householders, are the 5 disadvantages for the immoral person through his failing in virtue. There are, householders, these 5 benefits for a moral person through his achievement in virtue. What are the 5? Here, householders, the moral virtuous person, through diligence, obtains a great mass of wealth. This is the first benefit for the moral person through his achievement in virtue. Furthermore, householders, a good repute is spread about concerning a moral virtuous person. This is the second benefit. Again, householders, whatever assembly a moral virtuous person approaches, he approaches confident and assured. This is the third benefit. Again, householders, a moral virtuous person dies unconfused. This is the fourth benefit. Finally, householders, upon the breakup of the body, after death, a moral virtuous person re-arises in a happy state, in a heavenly world. This is the fifth benefit. These, householders, are the 5 benefits for the moral person through his achievement in virtue. Then the Lord, having instructed, roused, inspired, and gladdened the lay followers of Patali village with talk on Dhamma for much of the night, sent them away, saying, "The night is far spent, householders. Do now what you think it is time to do." Then the lay followers of Patali village, being pleased with and appreciative of what the Lord had said, rose from their seats, prostrated themselves before the Lord, and keeping their right sides towards him, departed. Soon after the lay followers of Patali village had departed, the Lord retired to an empty room. At that time, Sunidha and Vassakara, government ministers of Magadha, were building a city at Patali village to ward off the Vajjis. And large numbers of devatas, counted in thousands, occupied sites around Patali village. Wherever powerful devatas occupy sites, powerful kings and royal ministers are inclined to build settlements. And wherever middling and minor devatas occupy sites, middling and minor kings and royal ministers are inclined to build settlements. Now, with the divine eye purified and surpassing that of humans, the Lord saw those devatas, counted in thousands, occupying sites around Patali village. Then the Lord, at the end of the night, when dawn was approaching, got up and said to the Venerable Ananda, "Ananda, who is building a city at Patali village?" "Sunida and Vassakara, the government ministers of Magadha, revered sir, are building a city at Patali village to ward off the Vajjis." It is as if Sunidha and Vassakara had consulted the devas of the Tavatimsa heaven, Ananda, before deciding on building a city at Patali village to ward off the Vajjis. I have seen, Ananda, with the divine eye, large numbers of devatas, counted in thousands, occupying sites around Patali village. Wherever powerful devatas occupy sites, kings and royal ministers are inclined to build settlements. As far as the sphere of influence of the Noble One extends, Ananda, as far as the trade routes spread, this will be the chief city where bales of merchandise will be opened up. But Pataliputta, Ananda, will suffer 3 disasters, from fire, from water, or from the breaking of an alliance. Then Sunidha and Vassakara, the government ministers of Magadha, approached the Lord, exchanged friendly greetings with him, stood to one side and said, "Please consent, good Gautama, to our providing a meal tomorrow for you, together with the order of bhikkhus." The Lord consented by remaining silent. Then, on seeing that the Lord had consented, Sunidha and Vassakara went to their own dwelling. Having prepared their choice solid and soft food, they announced to the Lord the time for the meal, saying, "It is time, good Gautama, the meal is ready." Then the Lord, putting on his robe in the forenoon, and taking his bowl and outer cloak, together with the order of bhikkhus, went to the dwelling of Sunita and Vassakara. On arriving, he sat down on the seat prepared for him. Then Sunita and Vassakara, the government ministers of Magadha, served and satisfied with their own hands the order of bhikkhus, headed by Buddha, with choice food, both solid and soft. Then, when the Lord had eaten and washed his hand and bowl, Sunita and Vassakara, choosing a low seat, sat down to one side. And the Lord thanked Sunita and Vassakara with these verses. In whatever place a wise man sets up his home, here he should feed the virtuous, the controlled who lead the holy life. To those devatas there he should make offerings. Revered, they will revere him. Honored, they will honor him. They will show compassion for him, as a mother shows for her own child. A man for whom devatas have compassion always has good fortune. Having thanked Sunita and Vassakara with these verses, the Lord rose from his seat and departed. On that occasion, Sunita and Vassakara followed in the footsteps of the Lord, thinking, whichever gate the recluse Gotama leaves by today will be called the Gotama gate, and the ford by which he will cross the river Ganges will be called the Gotama ford, and the gate by which the Lord departed came to be called the Gotama gate. Then the Lord approached the river Ganges, but at that time the river was so full that a crow standing on the bank could drink from it. Some people there, wishing to cross to the other shore, were searching for a boat. Some were searching for a floating log, and some were constructing a raft. Then, just as a strong man might extend his flexed arm or flex his extended arm, so did the Lord vanish from the hither bank of the river Ganges, and reappeared on the far bank together with the order of bhikkhus, and the Lord saw those people constructing a raft. Then, on realizing its significance, the Lord uttered on that occasion this inspired utterance. Those who have made a bridge cross over the river flood, leaving the swampy pools behind. While people are binding a raft, the wise are